Americans are divided, fighting over everything from beer to boating etiquette to whether that mother is real.
That mother back there is not real!
Sometimes it can seem like we're living in different realities. Luckily, there's a presidential candidate who exists in every reality.
Today, I am announcing my run for President of the United States.
A powerful being who can travel between dimensions without even pausing for breath.
President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century.
As U.S. president, I would have made different judgments than Donald Trump made.
The climate change agenda is a hoax.
Climate change is also real, by the way.
Cancel Juneteenth or one of the other useless ones we made up.
Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
I'm very open to banning TikTok outright.
Yes, I'm officially on TikTok. We're going to be on here a lot.
Pop some Dramamine because this is the Dailyshowography of Vivek Ramaswamy. Enter the RamaVerse. Vivek Ramaswamy was born on Earth Prime to Indian immigrants in Cincinnati, Ohio. He learned at an early age how to navigate the multiverse, being raised Hindu but educated at a Catholic school, and eventually using both to his benefit.
I share those same Judeo-Christian values, more so than even many self-professed Christians.
You see, Vivek is more Christian than most Christians because he's Hindu. By the end of high school, he already knew that time is a flat circle.
The word commencement comes from the French word commencer, which means to begin, and yet now we use that same word commencement to describe a ceremony marking the end to our 4-year high school experience.
It was undeniable. This bright young man owned a dictionary. After graduation, Ramaswamy went on to study at Harvard and Yale and came out a man of the people.
I think many people are like me, people who are disgusted with the establishment.
Yes, separately, Harvard and Yale are the establishment, but together, they cancel each other out, like a hamburger and a salad. After law school, Ramaswamy was ready to tackle the worlds. One version of him became a stand-up comic.
I was actually a one-time aspiring stand-up comedian in New York City myself.
Another became a pro tennis player.
I'm a tennis fanatic. If the path was open to me to have pursued that career, I would have done it.
And a third entered the business world as the founder of Roivant Sciences, a company that sounded scientific, but also wasn't. Instead of developing its own products, Roivant bought failed drugs from real pharmaceutical companies and tried to find uses for them. Because those drugs might not work in our universe, but maybe he could sell them in a universe where they did. Many of Roivant's secondhand drugs failed, but in the multiverse, failure and success are all the same thing anyway. As a hard-headed businessman, Ramaswamy had no interest in the world of politics.
I was out of politics back then. I was an apolitical guy.
But he was propelled into yet another alternate life by the only force powerful enough to rip a hole in the space-time continuum: wokeness.
I was a CEO who, like so many CEOs, was browbeaten into potentially making statements on behalf of Black Lives Matter after George Floyd died. Among CEOs in America, I was unique in saying that I refused to do it.
It takes a brave man to take a stand against sympathy for the dead, and the Republican Party took notice. As an Indian American who isn't Indian American, Ramaswamy was just the person to assure white conservatives that while racism exists, it also does not.
I'm sure the boogeyman white supremacist exists somewhere in America. I've just never met him. Maybe I'll meet a unicorn sooner.
That's right, Vivek has never met someone who hates people of color, aside from the guy who cuts his hair. In 2023, this anti-elite outsider with nearly $1 billion in Ivy League connections was ready to quantum leap into the Oval Office. But which recent president would he model himself after? Yes.
Well, you have to give Vivek credit for following the Trump playbook to a T.
Jim, I'm sorry, you're fired.
Don Lemon, you're fired.
They're saying that you're the Republican Obama.
The skinny kid with a funny name.
This skinny guy with a funny last name.
E pluribus unum. Out of many, one.
E pluribus unum. From many, one. From many.
Yes, Ramaswamy shamelessly borrowed from two men who won the presidency, and yet he simultaneously will never be president. Remarkable. Ramaswamy picked up supporters in one dimension as a classical pianist, and in another as an equally accomplished rapper.
My name's Vivek. It rhymes with cake. It ain't about thee. It isn't about me. It is about thee. The United States is about liberty.
Snap back to reality. Off there goes gravity.
Oops, there goes Mom's spaghetti. When not spitting bars, Ramaswamy is talking about the issues. Familiar issues like closing the Mexican border, but also the upside-down version of that.
Don't just build the wall, build both walls.
And who's gonna pay for it? Mexicanina? Ramaswamy is a thoroughly modern Republican. And also, he's not a Republican.
I kind of cringe when someone says fellow Republicans. I'm not a party man.
He's a man whose principles make him strong and also weak.
Your greatest strength?
The firmness of my convictions.
Biggest weakness?
Firmness of my convictions.
Indeed, his firmness of conviction is like a coin. It has two sides and ultimately isn't worth very much. But that's the genius of Vivek Ramaswamy. He's not merely a Christian, Hindu, elite, everyman, successful, failure, classical rapper, independent, Republican, anti-immigrant child of immigrants. He's everything, everywhere, all at once.